Last week I told you about books I like. So this week I'm going to tell you about books I did not like at all. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis, and today we're going to be talking about my least favorite books of 2023. And let me tell you, I did not think the list was so long. There actually are quite a few books on this list. Last year it was like 5 books. This year we're talking 10 books. I read 70 books this year, so these are the ones that were the worst. 2-star, 1-star, just did not live up to the hype, DNF reviews, books I really did not like. And we're going to be going in order of when I read them, so we're going to start back in January and work our way up to now. And because of that, we're starting with The Fraud Squad by Kyla Zhao. So this book I actually talk about in my Reading 3 Books in 3 Days video, so if you really are interested in longer full thoughts and feelings, you can head over there. The link will be up in the corner or something. But this book was a disappointment. It promised Gossip Girl vibes, high society, a commoner masquerading in, fake dating, got intense Gossip Girl energy, and it did not give Gossip Girl energy. It gave sad energy because it made me sad. The romance subplot in this book just did not make sense. It was pretty much non-existent, and the love character guy just wasn't even a character. The main character also just had no sense of foundation, where everyone was praising her for being so sweet and so kind, but she had no sound set of morals. She just was inconsistent throughout the entire book. All the side characters also were just there for the main character, the side characters that only exist to support the main bestie. I hate that. I hate when side characters can't stand on their own, and these side characters would have fallen over if she wasn't around. Oh, not only to mention, this book kind of has the cheating trope, because the male main character that we're supposed to be rooting for her to get with has a girlfriend throughout almost the entire book. So overall, this book was a not for me. I was very disappointed in it. I had higher expectations, and it just did not live up to the synopsis or the alleged Gossip Girl vibes. The next book I have is Springtide by Kai Stevens, and I am really sad about this book. I actually won a giveaway from the author and received a physical copy of this book, which I'm so grateful for, and I read it because I was super excited for this book, only to realize it was not for me, which was really devastating too, because this is the first in a series, so I was really hoping I was going to love this and then move on to the other books in the series, only for it to be a 1-star read. So this book is about our main 2 characters, and they're kind of having a fake date situation. They're college students, and that was the main reason I wanted to pick it up. I love a good fake dating story, and this just sounded so good. Plus there was a element where they're tutoring each other and helping each other because she's in sports therapy and he's an athlete. This book just lacked angst. First of all, I felt the fake dating trope wasn't even important to the story. There was truly no reason, in my opinion, that they needed to be fake dating at all. It just didn't make sense, and there was no mutual pining fake dating angst. By the second half, I just kind of felt bored, and the main male character was just constantly designed to close him off and being unwilling to open himself up to the female main character. There was just no progressive growth or opening up, so I felt very frustrated with the characters. And the only plot to the book I felt besides the main romance was a whole subplot about the main male character's brother, and then I didn't feel it even got resolved at the end. Also, one of my favorite lines from my Goodreads review, which is where I take some of my notes from to make sure I remember what I feel about these books, was, and I quote, "Also, hot take, the things that are said in the 3rd act breakup were so foul that I would not have taken that man back." And I stand by that. The next book I have is The Reunion by Kit Frick. This was my first read by Kit Frick, even though I've had some of her books on my TBR for way too long. I DNF'd this one. I did not like it at all. I made it 100 pages into this book, but I was just utterly bored. First of all, there were way too many characters. There were just so many freaking characters, and on top of that, in my confusion with all the characters, I was just not enjoying the story and the mystery and was bored, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna skim through, right? I'm gonna skim through and find the answers, because I am kind of interested to know the answers, even though I'm overall bored, only for the answers to the mystery not being jaw-dropping or surprising. I was not thrilled by all the resolves to the mysteries. It felt boring, it felt flat, and honestly it makes me a little nervous that if I want to read more from this author in the future, because I was really excited for this book and it just did not hit. Next book I have is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I don't feel this is an unpopular opinion at all, especially after her first book that I really love so much. I know that many other people loved it too. First of all, I would like to quote a review from Destiny Sidwell. "Okay, no chemistry. Yeah, I did not like the main characters. I did not feel they had chemistry. And on top of that, when I finished the book, I was angry. I was on vacation, and I so distinctly remember I finished the book and I was angry. And the more I thought about my feelings, and the more I thought about the book, the more I just kept finding different ways where little plot holes or little things weren't wrapped up. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure there was this underlying plot that the main character was interested in running a bakery, or she wanted her own little pocket of something a bakery or a bookshop or something, and they had perfectly set it up where she was gonna get that, and then they just never addressed it again. And I was just so angry. Even thinking about this book makes me angry, even though I don't really remember why I was so angry. But I just remember finishing this book in a rage and being so mad and frustrated and like ranting to my family over dinner about the contents of this book. And if that says anything, it says that it should be on my least favorite books of 2023. So I am hopeful for this author though. I will be reading her next book because I really liked her first book. So even though this book was, I'm really hoping that the third one will be a lot better. The next book I have is When Grumpy Met Sunshine. This book was supposed to be like an opposites attract sunshine grumpy romance, and I hated it. So our main two characters, one of them is an ex-footballer and one is a ghostwriter, and she's the ghostwriter, and she's like going to this meeting and they're gonna like meet and talk, and he is just a jerk. Like there is grumpy, I understand that, but there's grumpy and then there's just being a complete awful human being. The writing style was also really weird. So like, hear me out. They would be in a room together. Like both of the characters, like, you know, they walk into like a room and they'd walk in there and then there would be like 5 pages of internal monologue and no physical description. So it'd be like our main character would literally be in her head for 5 pages straight with no acknowledgement for like the room, for him, for what they're talking about. So I was like, are they both just standing there like Sims, like while she's just thinking in her head for 5 pages? It was really weird, and that's all I could picture whenever this kept happening. And I was just like, you know what? We're done. There was just something about that visual of these two characters standing so stiffly while she's just thinking that drove my brain insane. And now we have Magnolia Parks. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I have a few notes to say. So fun fact, I was actually given an e-arc of Magnolia Parks and the second book, Daisy Hates, by the publisher, which was so sweet. Thank you to the publisher. And I filmed half of a reading vlog. I filmed a half of a reading vlog where it was gonna be Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates together, my thoughts on both. And I did Magnolia Parks, and I just did not like the book that much. Like, it was okay, but I feel like the first beginning was so slow, and it really annoyed me when Magnolia would like fashion check everyone she saw. Like there was just like things with the writing that really bothered me and slowed down my reading. So when I finished it, I did like the ending, and I was kind of like shocked. I finally started to care about the main characters, but at the same time, it just wasn't like my favorite. And I told myself, okay, in a week I'll come back, read Daisy Hates, and I'll finish the vlog. And I never did. Magnolia Parks just left such a meh taste in my mouth that I never went back for the rest of the series. And there's a half finished vlog just sitting on my camera that may or may not ever see the light of day. With that being said, I do think at some point I would like to go back to this universe, but I feel like I need convincing. Like I feel like someone needs to tell me something that will make me want to go back and read these books, because as of right now, I just don't have that much desire to do so. All right, we have just a few books left. The next two are actually both featured in my video reading 100 pages a day every day for a week challenge that I did that at. And the first one from that video is The Legacies by Jessica Goodman. See, Jessica Goodman and I have a back and forth relationship where like I either like or dislike her book a lot, where I've loved 2 of her books and then really disliked 2 of her books, and The Legacies is one I really disliked. It felt like it was really building up to something, and I really loved the overall vibe of it. I liked the characters, but then the ending just fell so unbelievably flat for me. I was devastated because I was a little bored here and there, and I was like, I'm pushing through because I just feel like there's going to be such a good twist just for the ending to be like, eh. And that's on that for that book. Yep, she wasn't for me. Moving on. Also from that video, I have Collide by Ball Cabra, and this book makes me angry still. This is a college sunshine grumpy hockey romance. However, at least in my opinion, the female main character is not grumpy, she's just a jerk. And this book is not written like these characters are 22. These characters are so childish and immature and just aggravating because of it. On top of that, the main female character is like applying to be in a grad school program for psychology, and because of that, that's how she has to like deal with the hockey guy, like the main male character. But it doesn't make sense. Like anyone who's gone to college or grad school who knows anything about like how to apply to grad school or how to do college-y things like that and like meetings would just know that this is just literally not an accurate representation of what it takes to get and apply into grad school at all. And it was so irritating because I will say, I have not applied to grad school, but I know about it. And I read this and I was just like, what is she doing? None of this makes any sense. There's no reason these characters ever had to be forced together. And I feel like if they had just erased that whole thing, the whole grad school thing, and maybe put in like a fake dating trope or something else, this book could have been so much better. But I was so irritated by that the entire time. And on top of that, I did not like the writing. I did not like how childish she was. And I did not like that it never felt like she was softening at all, a little bit. She was never opening up to him. And I was just so freaking frustrated by this book. And my final least favorite book of 2023 was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Okay, I will say I did give this book like a 3-star rating, so it's not like this book was 1 star or a DNF or anything. It's mostly on this list because it just did not live up to the hype and my expectations and my hopes for what it should have and could have been. I also, first of all, I did a really long spoiler video on this one, so if you've read the book, interested in spoilers, it'll be linked in the corner. It's like 30 minutes long. I talk all spoilers, talk all things Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. However, I will say this book was kind of boring to me, and it was incredibly dense. I felt like I was struggling so badly to get through it, and it took me ages to read a book that I just did not feel like should take me ages because I just kept getting bored and there was just so much. It was just such a long and dense book. I really liked the beginning. I liked the beginning like part, but after a certain part, which I'm not going to talk about because spoilers, but after like a certain section of getting through the book, I got to this point where I was just like, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, can we get to the ending? Can I move on? Can I read something else? That book took me like over a week to get through, and I didn't hate it or anything, but it definitely was incredibly disappointing in terms of just how much hype I had in my head for it, especially after I loved Fourth Wing so much. With that all being said, those were my least favorite books of 2023. I feel like sometimes we also need like a little safe space to rant about books we don't like. So I would also like to put a disclaimer in case you made it to the end that I probably should have also put at the beginning, to be honest. This is not any hate towards these authors. Never tag an author in a bad review. And also, if you liked any of these books, don't feel like you need to defend them to me or write a paragraph in the comments or anything. We all have different opinions. That's totally fine. You might hate some books that I really loved, or you might love some books that I really hate, and that is totally okay. It's what makes the world a better place. The fact that we can all have different opinions and enjoy different things, I think that's beautiful. So if you liked any of these books, I want to say I'm genuinely happy for you. It genuinely makes me happy when people like books that I dislike, because it makes me happy that those books are finding the people that love them. Just because these books weren't for me doesn't mean these books won't be for you. Just because I didn't like them doesn't mean that other people can't. And it makes me really happy to see people enjoy books. I would rather you say you enjoyed these books than you hate these books. You know, like, I want you to like reading. I want to like reading. That being said, after I was once canceled for saying I disliked a Colleen Hoover book, I get a little nervous talking about books I don't like online. So if you didn't like any of these, cool, we can chat about it. But if you love some of these, I'm so happy for you. Like, that's great. Anyways, thank you so much for making it this far in my video if you didn't make it this far. I post every Monday, so I look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to comment, like, share, all those sort of things, and follow me on Instagram if you want. It'll be linked down below, and it's right here. It's my handle. And I will see you next week. Bye!